Hello and good evening, everyone. Good evening, well, good morning, good afternoon. I don't know where you are connecting from all over the world, but you are welcome to Showcase Live with Yippee, aka the Igniter. And we are here and we are live for today's episode. You want to give me a shout and a dance in the house? As always, I'm always excited to be here. It's another wonderful episode, and I have no doubt, sincerely, I have no doubts that you are going to enjoy this episode like never before. It is a special episode of the showcase, and you'll be asking me, Emisi, what's so special about this episode? Not only do I have one guest, but I have two. In fact, I actually have three guests live and ready for us on the showcase tonight. Today, the showcase is taking a different, format. It's not just one guest that we get to enjoy having them online tonight, but we get to have three wonderful people share their story in a different way. Now, they're sharing their story not as their personal story, but sharing a particular story. And the story that we are sharing tonight, we're talking about nurturing the heart, nurturing passion and purpose in your child. In fact, it's actually a how to nurture purpose and passion in your child. And that's what we are discussing tonight. We have three seasoned experts that will be talking and weighing in on this conversation. And I promise you, you are going to enjoy every single bit of it. Now, don't say to yourself, I'm not a parent. I'm not, a guardian. But guess what? As long as you have a child around you, or you have a teenager around you, and you are able to kind of speak into their life, you are able to influence their life, you are able to add value one way or the other. Literally, as long as you are a handler of a child or a handler of a teenager. And that could be even as a teacher, an educator, as a nanny, as even a neighbor, a next door neighbor. Whatever form of relationship you have with a child or teenager, I promise you, being here tonight is going to be worth your while. It's not just about, a program for the parents, but it's a program for everyone that is a handler of children and teenagers. And that's why we're here tonight. That's why we are here today. And, we're talking about what we've always been talking about, children, or rather adults, discovering your purpose and all that. And a lot of times, you kind of feel, do children really have a purpose? Do children really, can they discover their purpose in life? Can they, make a difference in life? Can they this, can they that? But I sincerely would tell you that they do have a purpose. God didn't just create them for creating sake. And God did not create them to say, look, until you become an adult, then before you can discover your purpose. Guess what? Even in the very Bible itself, that beautiful book, we see stories of even children that were able to find a place in their purpose, were able to connect and find their place. And guess what? It's not only about the adults. Yes, most of us discovered our purpose, later in life. But guess what? It doesn't have to be so. You can, even as a child or a teenager, discover your purpose and begin to walk in it. Jesus was just 12 when he went to the temple, remember? Even Mary, I was actually surprised when I did a study and realized that Mary was actually between the age of 12 to 16 when she had that encounter with Angel Gabriel and when she actually gave birth to Jesus Christ. She was in her teens. She was a young lady, Daniel, David, there's so many of them in the Bible. And guess what? It's not only in the Bible that we have, young people that are making an impact in the world around us today. We have young people that are lending their voice to great causes, that are doing great and mighty things. Young people that are, discovering and, creating inventions and solutions to world problems. So if we want to, kind of cross our hands and say, okay, until this young chap or this young girl grows up and becomes an adult, before we start talking about purpose, then we will be missing it. Why not begin the talk right now? Why not begin to make that difference right now? Okay? And that's what we're talking about here tonight. We're talking about nurturing passion and purpose in the heart of a child. How to do it, making it practical, making it something that we can easily assess, and we say, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And that's why we are here tonight. We are here to share, discuss and, ask questions and make it real. That's why we're here. Now, for those of you that may be joining this platform for the very first time, or for those of you that would be watching the replay of this episode, I am Yemisi Lagunju, aka the Igniter, igniting you to passion and purposeful living. You may be wondering, what's the Showcase Live really about? Showcase is that platform where we, interview individuals that have discovered their life purpose, and we hear their stories. How did they discover their purpose? How did they find expression for their purpose? How did they get to where they are in life, even at that? Because personally, I believe that to live a life that is truly successful and truly fulfilling, then you have to be able to discover your purpose. You have to know what it is, and you have to begin to live it out. And that's really the whole essence of life. Being able to discover the why you were born. We all celebrate birthdays, we go for birthday parties and different things. But guess what? There's something beyond the when we were born. There's something about the why you were born. And that's why the showcase is here all about. That's the main purpose of the showcase, talking about life purpose and living it out. And that's why we are here tonight. But this month of May is a special month, a month dedicated to, celebrating children all over the world. We just celebrated May 27th was our annual International Children's Day. And guess what? I'm also a child. At least I'm somebody's child. I didn't drop from heaven like I always tell my children. We are all celebrating Children's Day. I am the child of somebody. I didn't drop from heaven, Just a joke, by the way. But I just thought, why not have something that talks about the children, something that celebrates, and we can use it to commemorate this wonderful celebration of our children all over the world. And that's why we decided to have this special episode of the showcase. So I have three wonderful guests of ours, connected. They're already at the backstage, waiting and ready to share their stories with us. Okay. And our guest speakers for tonight, I have Chrissy Eworo, I have Ronke Orekoya, and I have with us Adebo Williams. I'm going to be, reeling out their intro very soon. And even as we do that, I want us to be ready and prepared for tonight. Like I said, it's not just about us connecting and talking, but it's also about being able to connect with you, being able to ask questions. If you have a question, please, by all means, put it in the comment box. I'll pick up your questions from there, and I'll throw it at our panelists. And perchance maybe they're saying something that resonates with you. You agree with it. You can also put that in the comment box. A high five, a thumbs up. Whatever. Let us know that you are connecting. That's the beautiful thing about online, meetings, unlike the physical that we can always interact directly, but here we connect and and interact through our comment box. So please, looking forward to you putting something in the comment box. So even you've already connected, I don't know, I can see a few people already connected. Please go ahead and put it in the comment box. I'm here, ready for tonight, ready to learn, ready to add value. Whatever it is that you want to put, Please put something in the comment box. Let's know that you are there and ready for tonight. Like I'm always excited. I'm always excited because I'm doing what I love to do. I'm doing what I am purposed to do. Okay. All right. Yay. I can see Amayo. Thank you. Nice to have you here this evening. All right. So I'm going to go straight because we have a lot to cover this night. I'm not going to take too much of our time. So I'm going to go straight into our guest profile and introducing our guests so that you have an idea of who we are talking about tonight. Okay. So I'm going to, begin to share our guest speakers' details. And I believe that even as we do that, you get to have a little more understanding and a little more information about who we have on tonight. Okay, so here goes. Okay, so tonight I have with us, wonderful, wonderful people that I have no doubt they are here to, be a blessing to us. Okay, so our first panelist for tonight is Christy Eworo. She is the visionary and convener of Hold My Hands Child Intercession, HMHCI, the vision which was birthed from her personal encounter in 2013, but gained expression after another encounter in 2021. HMHCI's vision is to birth hope, desire, pursuit, and fulfillment of purpose in the child through intercession. Its mission is to build and uphold godly character, influence, direct, imbibe values, focus, and the total well-being of the child. Christy works closely with a team of esteemed and resolute child intercessors who will not give up on any child that God has not and will not give up on. Hey, so our second panelist for tonight is Ronke Erekoya. She is a compassionate and highly accomplished individual with a degree in biotechnology and a master's in public health. As a dedicated parent coach, she empowers families facing challenges. Her expertise extends to working with vulnerable children and adolescents, where she makes a positive impact on their lives and well-being. Her passion for child advocacy and public health continues to create a brighter future for those in need. She is also an entrepreneur, married with 3 wonderful children. So let's give it a hey. And to our third panelist for tonight, the only man amongst these great women is Adebo Williams. He is a highly experienced management consultant and legal practitioner and the founder of Oakland Partners Consulting and Oakland Partners Legal. Known for his balanced approach to consultancy, he combines hard work with passion for nurturing the next generation. Adeba is a respected authority on emotional and social intelligence, and he empowers individuals and organizations through his roles as a teacher, trainer, and developer. A seasoned human resource developer, Adebo has established schools and implemented successful training programs, including the notable Enterprise Development Scholarship Program, EDSP. His enthusiasm for brain research allows him to integrate insights from human biological sciences into his practice, enhancing human potential. Adebo's dedication to empowering individuals and organizations significantly contributes to the human resources and capacity development sectors. So, with a resounding shout from me, I would like to begin to, add and bring to the fore our guest panelists for tonight.
Glory. Glory.
Good
Hi, everyone.
evening. It's so great to have you
Hi,
here
Adironke. Hi,
tonight.
Debowale.
Hi,
Thank you. It's so
hi,
great to have
CC.
you
Uncle
here.
Diego, hi.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us here, MC.
Thank you, and thank you for honoring our invitation. I really appreciate it. I don't
You're
take you guys for
welcome.
granted. I'm blessed with the gifts of men. Men be both men and women. All right, so we're going to go into what we have for tonight. But before we do that, I would just like us to kind of, just share for like briefly, each one of us, 5 minutes as we can, briefly what, in a nutshell, what you think concerning our theme for tonight, how to nurture passion and purpose in the heart of a child. What do you think, speaking from your own expertise, from your own end, what do we think? What would you have to say to everyone this night? So I would like to take it in no particular order. So we can take it from Ronke, then to Christy, and then to our only gentleman in the house, Adeba, this night. So 5 minutes, everyone. So on to you.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good
Okay,
evening.
thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. So, good
Good
morning, wherever
evening.
you're watching us from. Pleased to be here. Wow, talking about nurturing passion in our children. This is purpose or passion, whichever one. I'd like to start from the fact that before now, while we were growing up in the 80s, even up to the 90s, our parents were really after, oh, go to school, go get a first degree, so you come out from school, or you graduate, you go to, you get a job, and the job will give you money, and the money will help you buy a car, build houses, and just live life. But you discover that the narrative has changed, and this narrative has changed so much that you don't just live a life to just for yourself only. You're living a life to fulfill that purpose that God has, destined for you as a child or as an adult. And that purpose has to do with impacting lives. A life that doesn't impact people around him is not a life of purpose. So purpose has to do with impacting or giving back to your world that which God has ordained that you are going to fulfill in this life. So now, as we teach holistic, we teach it holistically, such that when you're talking about nurturing purpose in a child, you have to talk about how you help the child to train the child, to raise the child, to make sure that the child has passion that is nurturing the heart of the child. The child develops passion for a particular thing, and that passion is what will drive what that child has been called to do. Also, the nurture the head. That means that the child also will be getting equipped, getting knowledge from different angles, not only just the classroom. Then the third part is nurturing the hands, and that is having skills. Those skills are what is selling right now. You can bear with me. You can even attest to the fact that we have so many first class graduates on the street, just walking on the street with their suits, jackets, and their portfolios. There are no jobs out there. But you see people that are having something like third class, second class, lower, and they are doing well, even 2-1. They are doing well. They are doing so fantastically well because they have additional skills that can sell them out there in the market. Now, who wants to employ someone that just has a first degree? What does it? You need to have additional skills, and that is where purpose and passion comes into the discussion. So we have to look at a child, a wholesome child. We parents have to nurture our children holistically. They are skilled. They have different skills. They have marketing skills. They have Christ as their foundation. A life without Christ is a life of crisis. And that is the first part, because child you as a parent have to first of all go to God to ask God, this child that you've given to me, how do I what about this child? He's a manufacturer. You don't buy a telephone without going through the manual to know how it's going to be used. So you ask God, what about this child? What exactly do you want? How do you want me to nurture this child? And God will show you a picture. He will teach you how to go about it. So I think, in summary, we need to go beyond the normal things. Life has gone beyond that. I hope I shared a little. Thank you
Yeah,
for your
thank
time.
you so much. Thank you for that. All right, Christy, please, can you go ahead?
All right. Good evening, co-panelists, and good evening, everyone watching and listening. Well, what comes to
Good, ma'am.
mind when we talk about purpose and nurturing? Nurturing. I want to approach it from two perspectives: from a personal perspective, as something that relates to me, and something as on the other side, on the side of what God says. What is the mind of God when it comes to nurturing our children? The the thing about nurturing comes to me with an urgency to say that we need to be on top of the matter, to helping our children discover their giftings and their tendencies early, so they can start off early in life to begin to run the race they are called to run, which is purpose. When we don't get to do that early, it leaves a struggle in their lives. That's one point. The other point, from talking from an experience, is to say that nurturing purpose is beyond is beyond we must have an accountant in the family is why my child must go for accountancy. It's more than that. When you put up that front, you'll be shutting your eyes away from seeing those tendencies about your child. Look away from whatever standards that has been there in the family. Be open in your heart and watch out for what tendencies that you're likely to find in your child. That way, you can begin the race of nurturing. Yes, yes, because when you watch out for those tendencies, the natural tendencies and the spiritual tendencies are there, inherent in them. God has put them there. It's not left for us as parents, as custodians, to, in the place of prayer, like as an intercessor, we pray that God will help us discover those giftings in them. So when we see them, we are able to discern and say, this is that, this must be this must be a prophet in the making, this must be this in the making, this must be a fashion designer in the making, this must be this in the making. And then you begin to deploy tools to nurture in them through training. Watch out for trainings that are relevant to their tendencies. So it helps you save your money. Yeah, because you ask the child to go up to go do accountancy, and the child comes out and is feeling like I feel I'm nowhere. I feel I've not started something. I've not started anything. I have been there. So the child begins to, because purpose has to do with what is inside of you. So the inside is calling for who am I? There's something about me. This is not me. Do we understand? So We can begin to nurture when we begin to discover those giftings. So that's just something about that has to do with my personal experience. And then purpose and nurturing. One of the scriptures that is key to us it's what we have in Psalm 144 verse 12, and it says, "Then our sons in their youth will be like well-nurtured plants." So we see our children being compared to plants, and you know that plants for plants to thrive, you've got to nurture plants to thrive. So we see here that children are being referred to, our son. And I say that when the Bible says, "So that your sons will be as plants, fully grown in their youth," it calls for a more urgency for us to deploy, to begin to put in place what are you going to be using to ensure that these children grow in their youth. The time of proper growth begins from when the child is small. Yes, because when you put a seed to the ground and the shoots or whatever begins to come out, and then you leave it, you don't water, you don't tend, you don't. So the place of nurturing is work. It's work. It calls for being deliberate and being intentional about nurturing. Yes, it's you, parents. It's you, the custodian, whom God is going to be asking from. How did you do it? What did you do about what I kept in your hands? Yeah, because the Bible tells us that children are just they are the heritage of the Lord. The fruit of the womb is His reward. Children are God's heritage. God is going to be requiring from us. How did we nurture them? So by the time we have this understanding, having this understanding, comes with a sense of urgency for us to rise up and begin to be deliberate, intentional about nurturing, deploying all that we should put to place, including praying for them. Because I think parents should be their children's should be as an aspect of nurturing them. They should be their children's first intercessor, praying for them, because children are first of all spiritual. The God who created them is spiritual. It's a spiritual God. So we need to deploy all of this in place. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, Sister Christy. You have said so much already, because there is a place that there was something that caught my attention about what you said. But I think I will allow Mr. Debo to go ahead and say what he will have to say, then we'll go on from there.
Okay, is it my turn now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Well, probably evening right now. And I want to welcome everybody who is on. Sister MEC, for extending this invitation to me to be part of this great panel of people with all the tremendous things you guys are doing. Well, you asked that we give an impression of what we think about the subject title. Simple. The subject title says nurturing passion and cultivating purpose in children. What I think about it is simple. I believe that to nurture passion, there's probably, first of all, a need to discover what that person, that child, is passionate about. Now, helping them to cultivate it and nurture it is another thing entirely. The first thing is helping the child to discover what he or she is passionate about. And there are a couple of pointers, parameters. I think the very first basis is what Sister Christy said. the parents or the guardian or the person that has oversight over that child or those children are the very first set of people to intercede on behalf of that child or those children so that God can guide them in guiding the children to discover their passion. Now, passion usually is an indicator of where purpose lies. And if you put things in perspective, you help the child by interceding for them. Intercession is very, very key because, recently I got seriously educated about it. And one of the things I learned is that
Okay, I think his network is
when there was a conference in my church, and their
okay.
first responsibility, there was a call coming in, so I just cut it off.
All
Their
right.
first responsibility, yeah, thank you. Their first responsibility is to ensure that you are praying for those people. Now, prayer would lead to a whole lot of discoveries. Prayer will lead to a whole lot of guidance. When passion, is discovered, then the next thing for the parent to do is to give that child or those children different kinds of exposure. And there are indicators, there are some things that could help in terms of how do you and what do you expose this child to. See, parents can guide children to, into different exposures, like pointers like teach them to use the word. And when I say teach them to use the word, I start with using the scriptures, Bible. That's the first thing. Secondly, using words again in another form, as in using language as a means of developing capacity for expression. The truth of matter is that the point of that cannot be overemphasized. I'm not going to go into details now. Then the next thing is that expose them to physical activities. Sport is one key part of that. Exposure again can also, from that second level of the word, of course, it will help in reading, it will help in communication. Now, the next level is sport. The other level is another indicator, which is exposure to figures. And another level is exposure to musical talents. See, if you take cognizance of all of this, starting from word to word scriptures, word letters, and then exposure to physical activities, sports, exposure to mathematical notations, exposure again. I mean, there was someone that developed a whole concise concept of what is called multiple intelligences, and there are a total of 8 of them. Part of the other things you could expose your children to discover purpose is exposure to nature, exposure to spatial distances and stuff. You see, all of these things empower different innate abilities in children. At the end of the day, you will discover that at a point in time, the child would seem to get fixated on some particular thing. Some of them will be fixated on a particular sport or maybe one or two other sports. When you start watching them perform that sport or train that sport, you will discover whether they have talent for it or not. And then you will discover from the talent whether they are really passionate from these things. Purpose is not far off from the things you expose them to through some of the indicators. And there are so many more indicators. I don't want to go into all that detail right now. So, but like I said, you start with intercession, pray for them even before they were born. They are conceived. Pray for them when they're in the womb. Pray for them when they are born. The prayers will begin to guide you on where to start. When they are here, start with all the indicators from the word of God, word in letters, then word in language and communication. Word, apart from that, then you go to rhythm, which is music. From rhythm, you go to figures. From figures, you go to physical things. That is sport. And on and on and on and on like that. We could come up with about between 8 to 9 to 10 indicators, but you should develop what is called something like a map or something like a timetable, that would help you to give these children exposure to these things one after the other. And in time, if you watch them, this will not take you more than 3 or 4 years of really hard work before you begin to discover what they have passion for, what they have talent for, and what they get fixated upon. Purpose is not far off from there. The truth of the matter is that I have been involved in this kind of process with a number of parents, and some of the children today, even from around age 11, 12, 13, have discovered some important part of their purpose in life, and they are already doing it. I have a story of one particular one in the UK right now who is 11 years and is already doing incredible things. We started the process with that boy from the womb. And today, it's all the credible things that this boy has done is amazing. It's amazing. We'll talk more about this as we go on. This is just my intros. Thank you very much, Mr. MC, and the rest of the
Thank you so
panel.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to everyone. In fact, you have all said so many great things. Just like the person that the case study that Bradebo was talking about, he shared with me this story, and it's really amazing and actually very fascinating. But let's go on into what we have even for tonight. Going on, I just have a few questions I would like to ask us, and any one of you can just pick up the question, no particular order, like I said before. So, like, a question I would like to ask is, as parents or handlers, now I don't want it to seem as if this is just a parenting thing, because it's not just about the parents. You have the parents that are speaking into the life of the child. You have educators. You have various people that are various handlers of a child. And so it's important that we have an idea of what, how do we play our role in making a difference in the lives of these children. Okay, so one question I would like to ask is, what are some signs that one can see that you can use to discover or to recognize the passion of a child? How do you recognize seemingly passion in a child? Anyone, please.
Let me just say something little.
Can I go, please?
Some children. I know a particular
like
child.
Say,
okay.
Okay, sorry, Mrs. Christy is already speaking. Then after her, you can go ahead and
hello,
talk.
are we there?
Okay, Christy was already talking. Then you can go ahead and say what you have to say after she's done.
Well, it's like at Fisky is okay.
I think you can go ahead.
Like, I don't know.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
I could hardly hear you again. Okay. From my perspective, I would like to say that one of the things that we as caregivers, nurturers, teachers, child handlers in all dimensions is that we need to understand the temperament of each child. We are all dynamic in nature. We have different temperaments. The way God has created you and I is unique. So we have to understand that there are different temperaments, and these temperaments, they have different ranges. We have choleric. We have those that are sanguine. The choleric is the people that are very that are domineering. They are tough people. They like to be people of their game. Sometimes the perfectionists. The sanguines are those that are all over. They're always joyful, happy people. You will see them. Sometimes they could even be phlegmatic. Those quiet people. They're just quiet. They're on their own. We also have the melancholy. Those people, so they're also on the quiet side. So you have to understand that this child, this.
Sorry about that. Network issues. It's amazing. And she's been connected all through. Let's just give her a second and see whether she's able to. Oh, we've lost her connection there. Okay, Sister Christy, could you just go ahead? When she's back,
Yes, how do you know when it's a passion, when it's a gift, is what you asked? in a child.
Yeah, how do you recognize the passion that the child has a passion or something? How do you recognize that as a handler?
Okay, whether you're a parent, whether you are a teacher, whether you are an educator, I mean, you can always you can always identify those tendencies, those gifts. I mean, if you are in a if you have a group of children around you and you have this particular person who is always with his or her pen drawing and coloring, there are some that I mean, even if you give them homework that has to do with coloring and all of that, it's not something they want to do. But there are these ones that whether there's assignments or not, you see them drawing cartoons, you see them drawing, and then sometimes you're like, how did you come about this? It looks so detailed, it looks so
Yeah.
tendencies are that. Yeah, tendencies are that. You actually see a graphic artist because this is something, this is so, this is I actually picked up this from my about my younger brother. When we were growing up, we were always having lots of pieces of papers that offended us in the room. He would draw Spider-Man. He would draw it's today that I respect those tendencies. And I'm like, thank God I did not hinder him in any way. I wasn't any, but it just offended me because we're always having papers pasted everywhere in the room of things he has drawn. Today, if we are looking for a graphic, somebody who can sketch stuff out for you, there's no other person in the family we need to go to for him. That was a tendency. And my dad did something to him. Maybe, I don't know whether that was intentional. I think afterwards, he gravitated towards going for a computer program. After that, he did something with an international IT company. Today, he's one of the best website designers. Design stuff for schools, pictures for schools. If I send him stuff I'm telling him to help me come up with something about a design, before I know what's happening, he's come up with it, except he doesn't have the time. All I need is just to give him my guides. He asks me what and what do I want, and then I leave the rest to him. So it takes me back to when we were young together. Those tendencies. And then if I have to tell you about tendencies about something around, now if you see a child who likes to read, like he likes to read stories, he does not want you to, that child does not, is not, he does not the child is not is most of the time not happy, or not, he's not moved, or not is not moved about things like giving him or her figures. Now, it's not to say that child is going to fail in the figure courses, but that is not his core. You can't force that child to be to make that as his core or her core. You can only help that child not to fail those courses. So, but the child is gravitates towards reading and telling stories. You may just have a public figure in the making, tell stories, and he or she does not necessarily have to be a talkative. And this is like something close to me. Growing up, I used to be a very gentle person, but I was sure of something that I will always do in my house then. When the adults have finished reading their newspapers, whatever information they got from the newspaper that was the current news at that time, whatever when they dropped those newspapers, and it became a raw material for me, because I loved to read those stories in the newspapers as reading to broadcast. I mimicked some famous newscasters, broadcasters at that time, and my parents didn't actually saw all of those things around me, but that was me. Those were my tendencies. Now, so if you see any child around gravitating towards this kind of thing, you will know that this child, you can't be singing to that child that he should go and apply for medicine someday in the future. It does not look near it that this child is in the sciences, or is going to be a scientist or something, or is going to be in the medical line or something. Yeah. Now, if you meet people who just write, children who just write, they're writing. It is not figure they're writing, but they're letters they're writing. And some just like to write, they write stories. Those are tendencies that are actually clear. They're clear to tell you that this is just a writer in the making. Okay, I think I'll stop here. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Sister Christy, for that. I knew, Sister Ronka, you were actually saying something before. I don't know, do you two want to say, or she has covered what you wanted to say?
Okay. Yes, don't mind the network. I don't know what's happening. Okay, I was talking about understanding the child's temperament, and I mentioned the 4 basic types of temperament. Another thing is you need to know again is the child's learning style. You need to learn the dominant learning style of the child. I like to give an example with a kinesthetic learner. A kinesthetic learner is one that, like I told someone earlier today, that they can learn, they can be on top of water, stand on top of water, and they are learning. As in, they can be doing some kind of, they could be very distracted though, but they are all out and about. They are always, they are restless. They are restless. That kind of a child, for instance, that kind of a child is a child that, like as Christy said, you cannot tell that kind of a child to go and start studying, to go and be reading. The child is not calm enough to read. Recently, I had a little bit of challenge, and I have a kinesthetic son, and he started having some challenges in particular subject. And the teacher says, "Oh, he's too restless." And I told her, he's a kinesthetic learner. And the kinesthetic learner, they have their strengths. For instance, if I have a kinesthetic son or a child, most of the time they have skills. They can learn. You have them to harness those skills in music. Sometimes they are very good athletes because they have that energy. They are highly energetic. So that we need to help them to know, balance some of those things, because you have to be good in all your subjects. You cannot be good in one area and not good in the other area. But they are really very good, and that takes me to other points that we need to learn to nurture these children's passion, because you have to know that child. I talked about the understanding their temperament. We have to come close, be available for that child. These days we have a lot of absentee parents. I've been there. I was there before, so I understand what it is. Availability. When you are close to that child, you take time out to know that child, hear that child. That's what that aspect of communication, not just listen to that child, but listening attentively. Sometimes the child can even be a talker, but you'll be able to listen to that child intrinsically. You know what that child is talking about, and ask some questions. The other day I was asking my son, oh, what would you like to be? He said, I like to be an architect. You know, he was not talking about things, not like they like to draw, they like to do so many things. And from there, he was like, oh, they like to be a robotic engineer, because I tell you, the skills that these children, and even the jobs that they will do in the nearest future, they're not even yet, they've not given birth to them yet. Now see what AI is doing. So good on it is that you tell a child that, oh, you must become a medical doctor. He must become this. Even some skills that one has. Some people from their bedrooms, they are making 6 digits with just simple skills that they have. Do you understand? So you need to understand, ask some pertinent questions. Let that child talk to you, and you will know that what that child has that passion for. Another thing is that we need to learn to build empathy in these children. Empathy. Empathy is one thing I discovered that is missing in our generation. So we need to help them intentionally develop empathy, and that is what helps them to see problems and want to solve it. And when they can solve that problem, money flows in the value of solving that problem. But first of all, they will learn to solve problems, and in that process, they learn to take responsibility. Who wants to give a job to someone that is lazy, that doesn't want to add value wherever you go? So that is another point I have. So you need to learn to give them opportunity to be responsible, to take responsibility, even from as little things as being, helping out. See somebody carrying something and helping the person. So some of these values, they are being eroded right now. We need to learn to bring those things back. So you cannot just be there. You see an elderly person standing up, you are sitting down comfortably. No, it doesn't work that way. So we need to help these children and expose them to different skills. I like what Uncle Debo said, musical skills, teaching them cooking skills. Cooking skills, you'll be shocked at how cooking skills can help these children, learn what they can be passionate about. Cooking is a skill that has so many skills involved in it. If you are not patient, you cannot cook. I'm sure we remember that we are here on this call. We know that. If you're not creative, you cannot cook. So it helps you to learn to be patient. You have to stay with that food, otherwise the food will get burnt. So it helps to build focus also. It even helps to build self-regulation. You cannot say that, oh, I'm angry, I'm not in the mood, you will not cook. You'll be there and make sure that you see that thing through to the end. So I think there's so many things that we need to talk about, but we don't have so much time to talk about it. But as we go, I think that this thing to be unwinding. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for that. I think that question has been, dealt with well. But a question that I would like to take from there is, okay, we're talking about, okay, helping the child to discover how do you recognize the child's passion and everything. Now, I know one thing about children. Children at times have fleeting interests. In that today I love this, tomorrow I don't like it. So what do we do? Where you think, oh, I have recognized my child's passion, and then tomorrow the child is like no longer interested. What do we do? How do we now begin to differentiate between it's just something that the child is doing versus something that is truly a passion? So, Dave, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that. I would like to hear from you. Oh, sorry, we can't hear you. I don't know, maybe you're muted. Okay, yeah, you're fine now. Oh, network, imagine.
Hello, ma. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
My mic was muted. Okay. You talk about fleeting interest of children, attention span, deficit, and all of that. Today they like something, tomorrow they like another thing. Let me tell you this. Children themselves are incredibly multi, especially when young. And it's very important for kids to develop serious observational powers. Do you get at the conclusion that the child is a star musician because he goes to be a teenager in musical performance? That's why it's important for parents to learn to read. Someone talk about right now. Someone already talked about in the chat. What every parent
Sorry, Debo, you are breaking up somehow. We're not really hearing you. It's
is
breaking
the
up.
network.
Oh dear.
Is the network.
Oh dear.
Is the network.
I
All
think
right.
it's
Let's see.
okay. I think you're better
What?
now. I think you're better.
Okay.
Maybe
Um. What? Can you hear me now?
yes. I think it's better now.
Hello.
Yes.
We can hear you. We can hear
Okay.
you.
Fine. Okay. Very well. I want to talk about the parental observation. You see, the parent, the guardian, the child minder, either in school, either in church, either in any social group that they belong to, they have a key role to play in terms of observation. And what is that key role is that at every point in time that the child is growing, there will be several things that will come, to the attention of the child. And it wouldn't be every one of them that will resonate with the child's mental development in the same manner. Where parents should be calm and not get themselves worked up is the fact that you will see this child develop interest in various things as they go. But you see, where most parents get it wrong is the fact that many of the parents or guardians or minders or whatever they are also do not actually have a developmental plan in place for the children. Now, we have, first of all, the responsibility to observe them keenly, to listen to them very keenly as well. Like Sister Runke said, you need to also take particular attention to documenting everything that you see in terms of responses, in terms of how the children respond to certain things. There is a need for you to have a total map of a developmental agenda that covers all the aspects of from word to music to physical activities to social interactions to language development to spatial exposures to exposure to nature and all of these things all together, including even figures, including language developments in various languages. All of these things you must take keen observation of what your child is getting exposed to part time in their lives and in their development. If you don't get that right, there is a tendency for you to miss it and say, oh, this child is just all over the place. Today he likes this, tomorrow doesn't like it anymore. No. Even the child has no clue about his best talent. It is from your observation that you would know which of these things that he has been exposed to is going to develop a passion for. And let me tell you this, passion may be fleeting. Today, even as adults, we're passionate about something or someone today, and tomorrow, maybe something just flips our interest and we're no longer passionate about it. There was a period, in the last, for me, even as an adult, with all my years of experience in working with children and all of that, like maybe like 4 years ago, thereabout, I I started watching films. All my life, I had been a book person. And then sometimes 5 years ago, I started watching films more cleanly and more closely. My phones became veritable means of collecting all kinds of films. Once I collect them, I put them on my computer. I had a bit of time on my hands, and films became my pastime. But let me tell you the truth. Right now, I have loads and loads of phone films on my phone, and to even carry my phone and spend 2 or 3 hours watching any film right now, it's really really tough. Just like people can develop passion for something at the point in time and lose interest in it a few years down the line, it's the same with children. But you see, let me tell you this: some passions will be deeper and keener than others. You will know by virtue of how well and how keenly you observe these children and how well you document things. Now, take for an instance, if you take a poll or if you take a time map of how much time your child is spending on a particular thing per time, you will be able to know how much of, let me just give the example of that boy we're talking about. We actually exposed him to a couple of things, including sports and football. But let me tell you, the day that boy discovered computing at age 6, he faced computing squarely. It happens to be the period of that COVID period. Before we knew what happened, before our very eyes, this boy started computing on an average time space of virtually 10, 11 hours on a daily basis. Before you know what's happening, this guy developed a smart process of using up everybody's data. And no matter how well the parents, try, they cannot catch him. When they are deep in slumber after working hard all day and they are tired, this boy will find a way to wake up, and by the time you wake up to catch him, he has gone 3, 4, 5 hours on your data. Another interesting thing the boy started doing, he started developing social connections by which he can get data even outside of his parents. I was that to reach me and get me to send him data, whether I like it or not. Don't forget the fact that we exposed him, myself and his dad, we exposed him to sport and to music. Before long, he lost interest in it. See, this boy don't like physical activities much. He is sedentary. He will sit down for 10, 11 hours coding and coding and coding. In 3 years, from age 6 to age 9, this boy learned 13 programming languages. 13, all taught by himself, to the point that he even got proficiency certificates in all of these 13 programming languages. Today, he's doing incredible things in the UK, and he's just 11. Passion may be fleeting, but when they discover something deeper than passion in any of the things they are exposed to, they will get fixated. Our job is to observe how much of time and attention they are paying to a particular things out of the many things we're exposing them to. Our duty is to have a developmental agenda where we are constantly exposing them to different things as soon as they are capable of doing it. Take for an instance, if you want to do sports, sport comes in different ways. There are some sports that you use stick and bat. There are some sports that you use your body. There are some sports that we use bat or whatever. Now, take for an instance, golf as a sport. An average child cannot hold a golf stick until they are probably age 4 or 5. But let me tell you the truth. For football, your child can start kicking the ball around even from age 1. I mean, I have a younger brother whose child started doing that from age 1. The boy is 7 now, and he's still kicking balls around. In fact, that boy at age 7 is an avid Arsenal fan. I call him, on Children's Day, and we held a long conversation about the season that Arsenal just had. At 7, I knew that from age 1, he loves kicking things around the house. And from age 1, now he's 7. This boy is still crazily passionate about football. Now, how did a small boy sustain passion for football from age 1 to 7? I said I had a whole conversation with him. He was describing, there was a statement he made that really shocked me. He said, Arsenal, at some time, we were doing number 1, number 2, number 2, number 1, number 2. And I like, where did we just arrive at? At age 7, he was watching the Premier League table, watching it closely. So the truth of the matter is that some child will behave, every child will not behave the same way. Your observational power and your modus operandi of how you observe them would help you to discover which one they have passion for and which one do they have sustained passion for. Once you discover the one that they have sustained passion for, because of the amount of time that they are spending on it, because of the amount of energy they are putting into it, because of how long or how much the resources that thing requires, and how they are using the ingenuity to get the resources that thing requires to keep it going, you will know which one they have sustained passion for. And when their passion for it suddenly dissipates, do not question it. Do not trouble yourself. Keep giving them more exposure to different things. Before long, you will find what they can sustain their passion for. And then once you notice that it's now, today, my friend is not confused about what the passion of his son is. They know it is computing. And every resource today is being poured on computing resources to ensure that or or operates. Thank you very much. I would like to stop for now.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for your response on that. I would like to say something that one of our viewers has actually put it in the comment box. And in summary, what she's saying is this, that it's a lot of times she's speaking, and I think she's like an educator. So she's speaking from that end, that she has noticed that a lot of times parents, kind of, in the bit of exposing the child to one thing or the other, maybe a new skill or something, the child's real and natural innate abilities and tendencies would get overshadowed by what the parents want them to do. And to the point that the child totally loses interest in what that other thing that they wanted to really do in the first place, such that now become their parents' dreams and everything that becomes reality. How do we, because it's a thin line. A thin line in, I'm exposing you to this so that you find out whether you have a passion for it, and then overly, kind of overpowering the child's real desires, such that the child now begins to says, oh, I really love this. This is what I want to do. I mean, we even see this on a daily basis, especially even when it comes to children that are more like kind of a bit older. When it comes to picking a career, the parents are start telling, maybe parents are doctors, and they start telling you things like, oh, medicine is this, medicine is that. Before you know it, by nature, it's natural for the child to say, okay, I also want to become a doctor, because the child has grown up in that environment where medicine has always been everything. And really, at the end of the day, the child takes up the course, does this, becomes a doctor, and years down the line realizes it's not really what I ever wanted to do. It was because my parents. So how do we draw? It's a thin line. I don't know if you get me. If anybody would like to respond to that, it's a thin line. How do we balance it?
Yes, I would like to respond if you don't mind, because I think it dovetailed to my last comment. Okay. Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, very fine. You see, I like that person's comment because I went to the chat and I read it. You see, what that person is saying, in the bid to expose our children to different things, there is a way the parents have preferences for certain things, and before long, they subtly start imposing what they like on the child without taking time to understand really what the child's interest would actually grab by himself or herself. This is where we're going to be careful. And I said the other time that, see, the primary subject is the child himself. We parents, minders, guidance, or whoever we are, teachers, are not the focus. Every child's proclivity, every child's areas of interest is innate. Let me tell you, this, we have not emphasized this enough in this conversation. And what is that? Purpose is developed from the innate genetic code. God actually codes our purpose in life into our genetic code. I would, it could be a little bit of a stretch, what I'm saying. But the truth is that I have done a lot of research into biological science, from the building blocks of life, things like challenge, things like what talent becomes after we discover them. What? Sorry, are you not hearing me? Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, let me
lost
just.
you.
Okay, for a while, I noticed. Sorry, I will round this up now in about a minute or so. Now, what I'm saying is this: we have not emphasized the issue of the God aspect of it. Purpose in life is a God sport, and how God, used purpose to connect us to Himself is actually most of the time our purpose in life is bred into our genetic code. I found out that by my long study of biological sciences into human capital development, I discovered that what a child is going to become, because God, is the owner of purpose and what their life assignment is going to be. He codes it into our genetic code. Let me tell you this. It must be a process of discovery for the parents, for the minders, and for everybody that minds children. What your job is to continue to give that child different kinds of exposure. Let me tell you the truth. Whenever anything appeals to that thing that God has coded in the child's genetic code, let me tell you, they will get fixated on it. They will put all their passion, all their attention, all their time, all the resources they can get into it. Before you know what's happening, that is where that guy will put his life work on top. And if you do it right on time, and that exposure comes to that child on time, and that thing kicks in within him, within his genetic code, you will discover that child will discover his purpose quicker than some other person. This boy that I'm talking about is a perfect example for me, because today he's on a trajectory and a part of life that is already set at age 11. And it's the same for every kind of child. Your job is to give them exposure to different things. Watch them, observe them, take note. When they get to the one that resonates with what is inside, that God had coded into it, they will stay there. You would not have to wonder again. Say, waiting, be this one purpose or interest in life. That's my comment.
Can I say something, Yemisi?
Yes, please go ahead.
It's been on my heart to say that we do not have to worry about children having fleeting.
I'm done with that comment.
Fleeting interest, fleeting passion.
Our job,
there's no
on the final note, let me just make one last comment. Our job in this regard is a job. It is almost like a passive job, but it is an active passive job. Observation is our most important role. We give them exposure. That is where the active one comes in. We actively take them to go and watch football, actively take them to go and play football in the weekend, actively take them to judo class, actively take them to music class, actively expose them to mathematics. Let me tell you, when the child gets exposed to the one that resonates with what God has coded in his genetic code, believe me, that child will be asking more and more for that thing. Oh, daddy, take me to music class. Daddy, take me to music class. Daddy, take me to music class. Daddy, I don't want to go and play football. I don't want to go to football class. I don't want to, because music is what God has coded in him. Music is what is where his purpose lies. Music is where God is taking him to. The day he gets exposure to music, that is the day we start shouting music, 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 and nothing else but music. I told you we used to take that boy to go and play football at weekends. The boy was lazy with football. He will play for 10 minutes and he go and sit down. He's tired. But the day the father showed him computer, that day there was a revolution. Within a short period, we all got to that this boy computing in life. And you know what? Because he is naturally sedentary, and he has motor skills. His hands are always very, very busy. He has a capacity to sit down for long. He has a capacity to hold conversations for long. When he's building something, King will engage you for hours discussing that thing. His brain can, another part of computing is mathematics. King is very logical in figures. It's amazing. Every other thing that we notice about him, the skills align.
All right, thank you for
it's
that.
aligned.
All right, all right. Thank you
Pleasure.
so much for that, Debo. Um, over to you, Sakrisi. You were saying something. I think because of the network lag.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sorry
Yes.
about that. So that we can also
No
get her
problem.
own opinion about the discourse.
Yes.
Yes.
I've had it on mind to air my views, saying that to say that we should not be troubled about the fleeting
Interest.
passion, interest of a child. It's normal
Ah,
because you do not give birth to a child, and the child does not drop from your womb and begins to walk in the specific of 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 what the child has been called for. A clear example is the story of how God asked that Barnabas and Saul be separated for him. The Paul and Barnabas had always been, gone about life normal. There was, of course, something they were doing, something they loved to do, and possibly, and it's possible that other people also noticed that, oh, there were certain things that Paul and Barnabas were given to doing, but it came to a point in their lives one day, as we found in Acts 13 verse 2. The Bible says, while they were worshiping the Lord and fasting, the Holy Spirit said, set apart for me Barnabas and Saul for the work to which I have called them. Is that to say that they've never done any work before? But this is the specific coming at this point of their life. Now, it's not to say they've never handled any work that anybody likes to do, that anybody was blessed. They must have impacted lives, but they hadn't known their specific. This was the time of their life when God opened their eyes to discovering the specific of their lives. The same thing happens. We all grew up, we all, walk through the path of church. Today I love music. Tomorrow I leave music, I go to drama. Tomorrow I leave drama, I'm at the children's department. Today, you see, all of these experiences are all important to get to your specifics. So allow them. It's a part of growth. It's part of nurturing. All the process of nurturing. When you go and put a plant somewhere and you find out that this thing is growing, is like, okay, it's growing here today. Tomorrow they said the soil is no longer maybe something. Okay, let's remove it. Let's move somewhere else. Your child is going to land somewhere someday. It's all the path to purpose. It's all the path to discovering purpose. So allow them. I have a nephew who, at some point, they will always take um, um, a niece. They will always take him for football, and nobody will rest in the house that they have match, they have this, they have one competition, and all of that. And the parents put in so much. Of course, you get the boots, you get all of those whatever they use for professional sports. And I got to hear one day that he says he has left football, that it is handball that he does now. And I'm like, at first I felt like, what's all this distraction for? But today I understand better. Let's leave them. When he was around the footballing, it's an experience that tomorrow, when he gets to his place of the specific assignment, when it comes very clear of the category of people he has to impact in this life, all of these experiences will count.
wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that, Sis Christy. Okay, so I love the
Um,
way you said
I
something
have something
about
to add.
Paul and Barnabas. Okay, one
Yes,
second, please. I like what you said about Paul and Barnabas. They had been working, but God
yeah.
now says it's time for them
Separate
to get separate from me, Paul and Barnabas for this
for
work.
the
So that
special
means
work, for the
exactly,
special work which I have called them.
yeah.
If they were never working, maybe they would not have gotten to this specific.
Wow, wow. Thank you for that. All right, okay, you can go ahead. You want to say something?
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Auntie Christy, for that point you just made. That you have to
Yeah,
say whatever your hands finds to do. So you have to, God has to find you working on something. Very important.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Another thing I need to emphasize here is that we parents or caregivers or guardians should be careful not to impose our self will or what we did not become on our children. We
yeah,
discover that over time that, okay, for instance, maybe your desire as a parent was that, oh, you want to be a medical doctor, and somehow in life you're not opportune to be a medical doctor. So somehow you desire one of your children will take on this profession. So you'll be doing everything that you must become a medical doctor. And that child may not want to study that course. I've even seen situations whereby the children will go for that course and say, yes, I've become a medical doctor. Daddy, have a certificate. I did it for you. A very good
yeah. You're right. I am a clear example.
example comes to mind. Comes to mind. Yes, you are. The
Yes.
example is this young man. He's a lawyer. His name is Fowles. His name is Fowles, and it came to mind. And I like now he's a lawyer. At the same time, is he working? Is he doing? He's a musician now, making his money from music. Is he a medical doctor or a lawyer? Because his parents wanted him to be, that profession. But I want to tell you that whatever he's doing, I'm sure that experience and that certificate that he has must be helping him do well in that profession. That he'll not be experiencing things like duplications and all that. And that also brings to mind my own personal experience raising my children. I have two children that are in the university right now. My son, he was not doing well in secondary school. I call him a late bloomer. And this got me very worried. It got me very worried. And in SS1, after their GSS3, the school required that he should be put in a commercial or a art class. I told them, oh, this child, I know him. He cannot do well. He will not do well in that class. He's not a good reader. He will not. I told his father, I said, come write an undertaking. I told his dad, go to the school, please, and write an undertaking. He wrote down 3 times, so I'm telling you now, it was not a funny thing at all. But you know where he is now? Some that did not even know left from right. Now he's studying physiotherapy in the university. At the point where he got it right, I discovered that right now he's teaching people physics. Some that did not know Moremi before. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing the two different? Are you seeing that? So we need to be very patient and
Yeah,
allow God, and children should also go through their process, because sometimes
yeah,
we should be careful not to push these children too hard.
yeah,
Number two, my daughter that was the calm person that I thought that this one now Ogbono, she will study medicine. It will be the person that will study medicine or do a biological science, course in the family. This girl came in her SS2 and told me, Mommy, have you seen my biology? My drawings are very bad. I cannot even imagine me doing biology. I will just stick with my engineering. I was like, oh. I was surprised, but somehow, in the school, got exposed to, she's a mathematician. She will even tell you that, oh, my 1 mark, 99%. She will tell the teacher, please give me this my 1 mark. I want to get my 100%. And she's very good at physics. Somehow, she ended up, she's doing an engineering course right now. So sometimes it takes a lot. We need to be able to see beyond our own selfish interests. It is very, very, very important, because we will not impose what we want on our children. Then again, nowadays, this time that we are now, I discovered that first degree does not hold anything. This is a warning to parents that they start preparing their mind. Because the first degree, sometimes some children don't even know what they want after their first degree. Second degree will now give them that. It's like a platform. After all, everybody has a first degree now.
yeah,
It's like water.
yeah,
It's very common now. doesn't really make any difference. But the way we should be
Yeah.
looking at now is helping the children, go through that first degree. In that process, we should groom them and help them to start thinking of, okay, what is their passion? What do they really want to be in life? That will help them
Yeah.
and guide them to the second degree so they can now professionalize. They can now, they can now go for that thing that God has put inside of them, which is innate, and they want to you do that thing so they can be fulfilled. Because beyond having money in your pocket, fulfillment is the
Yeah.
ultimate. Thank
Yeah.
you. Those are my few
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
And CMC is not on the call. It's like the network is failing us again.
Sorry, my
Wow.
laptop just decided to do its
Oh,
own.
sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
Those are the downside of.
Oh, online. All right. Anyway, I had wanted to actually ask a question, and I think Ronke has gone ahead to answer that question already. Because the question
Really?
I wanted to ask was, what advice would you give parents about children that they don't show any interest in anything? There'll be some children that just don't have any interest. They're just there, especially a child that is phlegmatic.
Mm.
Phlegmatic children or phlegmatic people they're never passionate about anything. They're just
There.
so happy, easy going. Life is just going. But I
Hmm.
think like Ronke has said, speaking about her son, that he was like a late bloomer, but a time will come when they will get themselves together. So it's I think you have kind of answered that question
Another
already.
thing,
Yeah, okay, please go ahead.
I can add this to it, CMC. I
Okay, go
like to
ahead.
add that this time and age is the time where we need to expose our children to mentors.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mentorship is a cheat code, and that
Yeah.
actually helps children. Different mentors, and they'll be able to connect. Yes, it's a cheat code. They'll be able to connect, and they'll run along. They'll tag along. So it's not a time that they only me. Your bedroom. I keep saying this. Your bedroom is too small to raise your child.
Yeah.
Wow.
Talking about exposure, you need to learn to let children have that mentors could be their teachers. Like my son, where he actually got it right was that he told me at a point. Well, and before that time, without going to boot camps, he's been telling him so many things, exposure. At the point he told me, mommy, I want this person who was his school provider then. I want him to be my mentor. I was like, wow, coming from him, and that was how he sucked into that person's spirit, and he was able to he saw himself that yeah, if person can do it, I can just enter this, I can just latch on to this person, and he saw himself being that person that he desired to be. That was how that was the game changer.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
let's expose them to mentors, let them expose them to different, taking them to boot camps, so many things. It's beyond you. Your bedroom, I tell parents, your bedroom is too small to raise your child. It's a
Wow.
lot of investment. Oh.
Yeah.
Parenting it's hard. But we have to let children are hard. It's hard.
It's
It
hard
wasn't
work.
easy going through this process for me. It was really hard. It's really hard. In fact, the point I was like, wow, what's happening to this boy? No, I am resting. In fact, this is my popping season. But I don't need to be following them up where they are. Some parents I tell you are in university, are following them up. Are you studying? Are you this? But I can tell you, to the glory of God, they are doing well where they are, but they have gotten it for themselves and for themselves. Thank you.
All right, thank you for
Oh,
that. What we are about to round up, because this is a longer, broadcast as our usual 1 hour. This is already like an hour and a half. But before, I'm going to ask us in the next 1 or 2 minutes to just go ahead and just give our closing takeaways. But I just want to ask for, will I put it this way? If you can give three practical tips could be both of you. I guess Debo has been kicked out network issues, but I'm sure he'll be back very soon. But I just want three our children? 3 practical tips. So I don't know who wants to go first. Just 3 practical tips.
Okay, I think there was a break somewhere. There was an interruption. I didn't get 3 practical tips on what?
On how to nurture passion and purpose in the heart of your child. Just 3 practical tips. Like just something that we can take away as parents, take away as handlers.
Okay. Okay, can I go?
Yes, please go ahead.
3 practical tips. Number 1 is to so you don't instead of worrying and getting agitated about what is this child going to be, is to first of all take it to the Lord in prayer. You can pray for your child. That is one way you can nurture. Yes. It's like watering a plant. For it to grow and begin to bear fruit, it takes watering. So you can water, you can nurture to bring about purpose, discovery of purpose, and the fulfillment of purpose in your child. Beginning with prayers. That's why I said from the beginning that the child handler should be the first intercessor of the child, because the child is first of all a spiritual person, and then created by a God who has his spiritual principle for why that child exists. So it is to connect with the maker of that child, number 1. Okay. Number 2 is to expose that child to training. Number 3 is, please, this is heavy on my heart, give your children all the support they need, emotionally and otherwise. Don't shout at them saying, I have been spending so much. If you cannot contain the fact that you have been spending so much and you're not getting something commensurate value for it, I think there's something better you can do than shout on that child, because there are a lot of damages you'll be doing. What if the child is plagued and you do not even want to come to terms that the child is plagued and to take it easy with that child? So if the child is not forthcoming with what you want to see,
Oh, I think she's frozen. Network issues this evening. All right.
I think Sister is frozen.
She's frozen.
Okay, Ronke, do you want to say anything, or Debo?
Okay, go on to another person. You have value logged into.
Sorry? Okay, basically, I think the network is really not helping out right now. But what?
Can I go? Can I go?
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes,
okay.
I'm hearing you. Yes.
Okay, like I said, in conclusion, the tips I'd like to give to share with parents at this junction is that parenting is first about you. To nurture a child, you need to work on yourself first. And working on yourself means that we need to be first emotionally intelligent, because this process that we are going to take these children through is something that we need to develop a lot of emotional intelligence to be able to study them at every phase and every stage they are going through. So if you're not emotionally intelligent, you may miss out. Instead of you carrying your frustrations and your issues and your allotness and point on your child, the child is innocent. We need to take ourselves out of the picture. So you need to be emotionally stable and be emotionally intelligent. Parenting is first about you. So work on you. When you are okay, the children will be okay. That's the first thing. Number two is that let us seek opportunities. We've mentioned a lot of them here to expose our children. Your bedroom is too small to raise a king or a queen. The third one is that to teach our children empathy. There is a solution that they've come to this world. God sent them to this world. There's a problem they've been called to solve. So if we can just teach them empathy, so we carefully see those problems and they begin to solve it, they will fulfill destiny. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. All right, David, would you like to say anything as we round off? Please go
Yes,
ahead.
ma'am. Three quick. Yes.
Yes,
All right.
please.
Well, what three things. Number one, when you see your child ready for purpose, learn to listen to them more. That's one. Listen to them more and hold very deep and very empathic. Think Jella mentioned you need to learn to become the friends to holding spaces that actually regulate the intelligence. Do not be going to lose every sense of knowing and doing all with them. Because the truth is that once you discover purpose, you will learn to master them more, faster, and quicker and deeper than you will ever know. So every subject in life that comes, let's start up in this time, this present time, yeah, there is no way the parents know much about that subject as this guy. Because with technology, things are changing very well. It doesn't even affect every other thing of subject in the world. So your conversation needs to be more bigger, much more accommodating, much more internalizing than you have ever been with him. People know the person. Number two is that try to show him the kind that connection that relates area that that play talk to people so that it can help him to become connected to people who could help him become what he ought to become in life. And somehow found out after everything, after going through the process of all of that, that he wants to be a lawyer. Start talking to lawyers that you know so that you can probably start doing volunteering with them so that the exposure to learning that skill will help him to build a social network, help him because the truth is that the two major things that are better predicted in success in life today that we live in are a combination of emotional intelligence and your social network. If you have the most beautiful products in the world and you don't have the network to sustain and buy it, you are not going anywhere. You're just going to be your own person. The thing I'm going to say quickly is that you see, every person in development is like a product in development. There will be need for times of improvement, times of thinking. So at every point in time, try to be the person to help the child to review his pursuit of purpose. Review, review, review. So I think conversation, social networking, and reviewing is part of the process of his progress in the pursuit of his destiny through purpose. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to every one of our panelists. I don't know, I guess one of our panelists network has probably bumped her out, but she has said a lot. Thank you so much, Ronke. Thank you, Debo. Thank you, Christy. You have all said so much, and the truth of the matter is that I know that we have only, how will I put it, kind of touched on the surface because this topic is
Scratch
not
the
something that we've only barely scratched the surface. There's so much more to go into it. But one of the things that I know that personally that I take away with this is to create an enabling environment for your child to discover their passions. And how do we do
yeah,
that? Expose them to different things. Expose them to different things. Don't be limited. Where you were not exposed to one thing, don't say because that is all. And that's why, like Ronke said something that your bedroom is too small to raise a child. Because your own limitations, your own thinking, if you want to raise a child based on that, then you will limit that child. And that's why it's important that we expose them to so many things. And one of those things are the things that are right behind Ronke right where she is. Books, books, books. Expose them to books. Expose them to
Yeah.
resources. And by the way, everyone, she is a bookstore owner. She's loaded with so many books. So if you are interested, you can always reach her. She has a bookstore called Christ My Helper, and you can see she's loaded with so many books. Adebo is another person that, in fact, he does what we call Adebo Speaks. He's a speaker. He's a brain trainer. He does so many things. So to every one of you, I would say, if you want to reach out to any of our panelists, you can just reach out to me. I would be able to get you their details. There's so much. And to Christy, she runs, like I said, a child intercession group. And it's a very, very viable and very powerful team. I sincerely must say that. Because there is a place of where you do all the physical that you can do, but there's a place of where you are able to hit it on spiritually, where God helps you to be able to, navigate and help your child to reach their destination. And so it's so important that we are praying. So if you by chance, even as a parent or a handler, you want to be a part of that ministry, that group, to pray the heart and the mind of God concerning a child, and not just your child, but even children around us, because whether we like it or not, our children will interact with other children. They will interact with other people. And there's nothing like being able to pray and have the right set of people around you. So if you also want to be a part of that team of intercessors, you can always reach her, through me. I will give you the details and everything. So to every one of our speakers that are here tonight, I want to say thank you for being a part of tonight. Thank you so much, Roke. Thank you so much, Dabo. Thank you so much, Christy. I know we're going to have to round off because of the time now. I'm just, a round off this night. Thank you to everyone that has been a part of this broadcast this evening, this episode. Indeed, like I said, we have barely scratched the surface. There is so much, so much. But, we will see how we're going to continue this conversation even beyond here. And also to everyone, let's keep an eye on this space. Sometime in July, we're going to have, during the summer holiday, I'm going to have a coaching program for our children to be able to begin to help them to discover their purpose. There's also a place where they also are able to come to know themselves and come to know their passions and their, the things that that move them, that they're passionate about and all that. And tell you what, we'll be having something sometime in summer. The date has not yet been set, and definitely don't worry. As you keep your eye on this space, you will be informed. You will get to know how it's going to go down. So to everyone, I just want to say once again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being a part of the showcase tonight. And if perchance you are catching up on the replay, please go ahead, put hashtag replay and put in your comment. Let's know what it was like I want to get a feedback from you and know what it was like for you tonight. So to everyone, I just want to say a big thank you once again to all our audience and to all our panelists. You guys have been awesome. Till we see again next month. Oh, well, not next month, this month, the end of this month. Till we see again this at the end of the month for another episode of the showcase. I'll say to every one of you, keep living life purposeful by design. Love you all and take care. Bye.